Hey everybody, it's me, just making another video. I'm redoing this video. I didn't like how that video came out because I sort of messed up on I sort of messed up on the 15 picks. Like I said, Finley went to SmackDown and I kind of stuttered on that. So I'm redoing this, and plus I was kind of hot, so I wasn't really thinking about what I was doing. Sweating hot, so I wasn't really thinking about what I was doing. So anyhow, this is going to be a video the giving my thoughts on the 15-man trade that happened on Raw. There was a lot of guys who went to Raw, and a lot of guys who went to SmackDown, and then getting a lot of guys who went to ECW. And then possibly after I get done, I'm gonna give you my thoughts on what happened on Raw. But most likely I probably won't. I won't get to it. So let's get started with this video. Oh yeah, before I get to that, I gotta say, thanks for some of the people. Thanks to the people who sent me the questions in the comment. Well, they sent it in the comment section, even though I said to send it in the inbox section. But still, it doesn't matter. You sent your questions, and like I said, I'll get to them. But I want to get as many questions as I can so I can start my Q&A, which most likely will probably be Saturday. So just keep sending your questions to me in my inbox, and like I said, I'll be able to answer them in the Q&A video, and I'll also mention your name in that video as well. So just keep sending your questions of what's bothering you, or what you want to know about, or what you don't know about. Well, it can be anything from sports, entertainment. It can be anything from wrestling to movies to music, etc. I'll get to it and I'll explain it the best I can, because that's just how I am. That's just how I am. I'll give you the best possible answer that I can, and I won't try to go around the question like most people do when they do a Q&A. Well, most people that I've seen that made videos before, they did a Q&A and they kind of went around the question, but I won't try to do that. I'll try to answer it as best I can. But getting to this, because I don't want to waste too much time talking about that, like I said, just send me your questions and I'll do it in the Q&A video, and I'll explain the answers to the questions you sent me as best I can. But getting to this video, there was a 15-man trade that happened on Raw. Didn't really find out about it until I went on one of the wrestling sites, and they were talking about the trade, and I watched the last part of Raw, and they were talking about the trade, and I was like, how did this happen? And then I found out that 15 guys got traded, 15 superstars got traded from 3 different brands. So I'm just going to give you my thoughts on some of these superstars that went to the different brand, and what I think is going to happen to them. So we move on to Raw with Jack Swagger. Now, I've been impressed with Jack Swagger. He's a good wrestler. He can cut some good to decent promos. And now with him on Raw, I really don't see the WWE really doing that much with him, since he's still kind of weak, as you would call, still kind of green. But he's still a good wrestler, don't get me wrong, but he's still kind of green, and he'll kind of get lost in the shuffle. Really don't see him in the main event level. He might be in a semi main event level, but not at the main event level. I possibly see him winning the US title, and then feuding with some mid-card guys, and maybe feuding with some main event guys. But after that, I really don't see much from him. Possibly maybe next year you might see something big with him on Raw, but right now it's too early to actually kind of push him into the main event level. And if he gets pushed right away into the main event level, there's going to be one guy who's not going to like that, and he's going to do everything he can to make sure that doesn't happen. And I think you already know who I'm talking about. Don't even need to explain his name. But yeah, for this trade, it's a really good trade. But I really preferred him to stay on ECW for a couple months, or maybe a year or so, and then possibly improve on that, and then he can be well known, and then you can throw him in the main event on Raw, move him to Raw, and then throw him in the main event, I guess. But I see him winning the US title, feuding with mid-cards, and then feuding with main event stars in like a mid-card main eventer. That's what I see of Jack Swagger. So moving on to Evan Bourne. Really, this is another pick that I'm kind of about because I like Evan Bourne. I think he's a phenomenal wrestler, but I think he should have been given more time on ECW to develop. But I guess the WWE didn't want to do that. They wanted to move him on Raw and thought he was ready on Raw. I really don't see much from him in the main event level because you know how Vince is liking big guys. I see him though in a U.S. title feud, whether it be with Jack Swagger or Kofi Kingston or someone like that, and possibly winning the title. But other than that, and being in some mid-card feuds with the Brian Kendrick and other guys like that. But other than that, I really don't see any things much bigger than that from this guy. But yeah, I still do see good things happening from him, or not bigger things like what someone said, like a Jack Swagger or someone like that. Moving on to Mark Henry, I'm kind of about this. I'm not a big fan of Mark Henry, but from what I've seen on the last part of what I've seen on Raw, looks like the WWE is pushing him. So we're gonna get Mark Henry in the main event picture. It's kind of like an because I don't like Mark Henry at all, but it is what it is. I guess he's gonna be feuding with Randy Orton, or feuding with some guys in the main event level since he's a face. Some heel he's gonna be feuding with Legacy or Randy Orton, I guess. But he's not gonna be feuding like having a one-on-one match at a pay-per-view because Triple H is gonna have something to say about that. But yeah, I just see him doing some main event things on Raw. Well, one main event thing on Raw, being a part of one thing, and then after that, he's just gonna be sort of like a mid-card face on Raw. Alicia Fox, don't got much to say about her. Gail Kim, this is a really good move because Gail Kim really wasn't doing much on SmackDown except for jobbing, and she wasn't being a part of some of the Diva storylines on SmackDown. But now that she's on Raw, she's gonna get more exposure, and they're gonna do a lot of things with her, and Mickie James as well, and then Maurice. So yes, this is a really good move because now Gail Kim's gonna be focused on, and she's gonna have a lot of stuff to do. So yeah, I like this move. Moving over to SmackDown. SmackDown got Matt Hardy, Finlay, and the Hart Dynasty. With Matt Hardy, I kind of scratch my head on that because I say, what was the whole point of moving Matt Hardy to ECW all the way to Raw just to move him back to SmackDown? It just makes no sense. But still, either way, it's still a good move because he kind of lost a little bit in the shuffle on Raw. He really wasn't doing much or feuding with anybody. Well, MVP, but that was just a mini feud. But other than that, he really wasn't doing much. And if he would have stayed on Raw, he probably would have got buried by Triple H. So it's a good thing that he moved on to SmackDown. Possibly he might get a bigger push on SmackDown as a heel, since SmackDown is starting to push a lot of stars on there. So hopefully when he gets back from his injury, we'll see a lot of good things with him on SmackDown. With Finlay, this is a really good move because he was a part of the main event on ECW, but they weren't really focusing on him that much. But now with him on SmackDown, you get to see a good feud between him and Rey Mysterio, which I'm drooling over right now because those two had some phenomenal matches in 07, I believe, or 06. So they get to recreate that for the Intercontinental title. You get to see some other feuds with him. So I really like this move, and I think this is gonna be good for Finlay since, like I said, he wasn't really focused on that much on ECW. The Hart Dynasty, really, this is a good move, although they should have developed more on ECW, but WWE wanted to put them on SmackDown. I see them feuding with some mid-carders on SmackDown, having a mid-card feud with some of the mid-cards, and then let's see what happens from there. Possibly they might get pushed a little bit, but other than that, I just see them feuding with mid-carders on SmackDown. Then moving over to ECW. ECW got Shelton Benjamin, Goldust, William Regal, and Brie and Bella. For ECW though, this is a really good move because you got William Regal, Shelton Benjamin. Not gonna talk about Goldust that much because he's really just gonna be doing some comedy and some sketches and stuff like that. But with Shelton Benjamin and William Regal, this is gonna be good because Shelton Benjamin's gonna finally get that title push. Because on SmackDown he was doing good things, but he wasn't really getting pushed much. He was jobbing a lot. So now he'll get a chance to shine and become an ECW champion like he should have been when he was on there the first time. William Regal, he's going to get a good push out of this as well. Anyhow, that's my video. Thank you for